hi, hello, it's me, Tiana, and I'm back at it again for another video. Today we are talking about Bridgerton on Netflix. Again, I have notes as always, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. And I just want to jump right in it because I just finished watching Bridgerton a couple days ago, and as soon as I finished it, I was like, I'm gonna make a video about this because I really have a lot of thoughts. Like, I have a lot of thoughts on Bridgerton. So if you don't know what Bridgerton is a Netflix original series produced by Shonda Rhimes. Shonda Rhimes is you know, famous for all the ABC, pretty much. She did Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder and Grey's Anatomy and Station 19, I think is what it's called. And this is the first show, I think, in her deal with Netflix. So, you know, she opened up with this. It's based on a Julia Quinn series. And it's set during the Regency era of England during the debutante season for these women. The show is centered on the Bridgerton family of like 8 children and their mom, and their father is deceased. And then there's another family, the Featheringtons, and like other like outside people, but those are like the main focus of the story. It's narrated by Julie Andrews, who's giving you a very Gossip Girl-esque narration about, she's the voice of this mysterious Lady Whistledown, who is writing this paper, this gossip paper, that basically is like keeping all the mess going during the season. When I'm saying season, I mean like the debutante season, not the season of the show. It was confusing when I was writing my notes what I meant, so I did want to make that clear. So we open up the show on Daphne's debut. The queen immediately sees her and decides that she's like the diamond of the debut season, what basically means she is the best of the best, the creme de la creme. She is the one that everybody is trying to get, right? So she's very excited because she's the oldest daughter. How she, you know, moves during the debutante season will affect her siblings' chances, her younger sister's chances. She has a sister who's right under her, Eloise, who will be going into debut season like in the next year. So she really is trying to make sure her family has a good start in the debutante season. We also see, like I said, the Feathertons. They have 3 daughters, Philippa, Prudence, and Penelope. They all debut together. Why? I think their mom was just trying to go ahead and get them out, but they all go together. And then they have a distant cousin who also debuts with them, and her name is Marina. So yeah, so her brother Anthony, her oldest brother Anthony, is in charge of the family because, like I said, their father has died. So he is the one that has to like set up all the marriage proposals for all the women, and like basically vet out the suitors to decide who will get to marry Daphne, right? So her brother, because he's being overprotective and like a weirdo, basically scares off all of her prospects. Anybody that tries to that's like any sort of, you know, I don't want to call people ugly, but like anybody that's like has any sort of like real interest, like she would actually be interested in, he's like running them off. He ends up only with this old man who wants to marry her because he has like no real social standing. He has money, but like I said, he's old, he's not very attractive, no one really wants him, so he wants to use Daphne as like to get some, you know, clout. Basically he's trying to use Daphne for clout, and her brother allows it. I really don't know, like I don't feel like they did a great job of explaining why Anthony act the way Anthony act, because he was like infuriating. Some of the choices that he was making, it was like, why would you do that to your sister? And I get that he was trying to like protect her and make her like keep her safe, but like I don't know. I didn't like Anthony at all. Daphne is like refusing to marry him, but because her brother has scared off all her prospects, she kind of feels trapped because she has to get married in the first debut season to like set a tone for her family, but she does not want to marry this man. So in comes the Duke. So if I remember, I'm gonna put a picture on the screen because you have to get into the Duke, okay? So the Duke, Simon Bassett of Hastings, Duke of Hastings, is mouth-wateringly fine. Like this, the thing is, right, one thing about Shonda Rhimes, and one thing about Tyler Perry, they gonna cast a fine man. Like, a lot of these people will have these love interests and they just be mid, right? But not Shonda. Shonda is never gonna give you a mid love interest. She's never gonna give you a man that's not drop your drawers fine. Like, she just won't do it. She's not gonna do. She always has your back like that. And I've said this in like 5 videos at this point, but I can't not believe a love story, a romance that does not include a very attractive love interest. Like, if I'm not attracted to love interest, I don't care about the story anymore. I can't like put myself into the story. I can't feel the emotion behind it. I don't understand why you making the choices that you do if I don't find that man attractive. And Shonda is going to have us right, okay? Shonda and Tyler Perry, undefeated in the male love interest, undefeated. So Simon is introduced, and we see Simon is like a known hoe. He sleeps in with everybody, refuses to like settle down. I think they call him a rake and a bachelor. But and he's also friends with Anthony. So Anthony, they went to school together. So Anthony really knows all about like his hotivities, and he does not want him to have anything to do with his sister. But his sister thinks he's hot, obviously, because look at him, he's hot. And they sort of like start like a little friendship. Nothing really like big. They like argue and bicker, but like nothing really spicy until they get the idea that they should fake being in a courtship so that the women of the town will leave Simon alone because he does not want to get married. He wants the mothers to stop trying to set him up with their daughters. And so that the men of the town will see that she is being pursued by a Duke and then want to then pursue her. She'll stop being like untouchable or whatever. Like they'll be like, well, if the Duke wants her, I should want her, right? So they both getting something out of the deal. They start this fake courtship. They go to all these balls and events together, whispering and being close and having people think that they're dating. This works for them for a while. The moms finally leave Simon alone, and Daphne has more suitors than she can even like count. Everything is going fine until the Prince of Prussia comes. So the Prince of Prussia is brought to London by his aunt, the Queen, who has decided that she wants for him to enter into a relationship with Daphne. So because she is like the pearl, the star, the diamond, they call her the diamond. They call her the diamond of the debut season. She wants for her nephew to be with the creme de la creme. So she brings her nephew to London for him to court Daphne. Even though Daphne at this point has fallen in love with Simon, because of course she fell in love with Simon. One thing about me, I need to make this clear. One thing about me is I love enemies to lovers, and I love a fake relationship to real relationship storyline. Like it might be cliche, it might be dumb, but I love it. It's one of my favorite tropes. I love it, love it, love it, love it. And this gave us both. Daphne and Simon didn't really like each other at the beginning. They were like bickering back and forth, and then eventually they formed a friendship and then fell in love. I love that, love that, love that, love that, loved it. So obviously, if you're faking a relationship with somebody for long enough, you're gonna actually fall in love with them. So she's actually in love with Simon, but Simon still maintains that he does not want to get married, and Daphne cannot just. She's not the kind of girl that can just be with him. Like, this is the Regency era. You can't just, they're not doing situationships. They're not doing boyfriend, girlfriend, cute little yada, yada, yada. No, they have to marry. So she is in love with him and hoping that he will change his mind and want to marry her. He is not and very firm in the idea that he does not want to get married. So her brother Anthony ends up having a conversation with him, basically saying, hey, if you are not serious about my sister, then you need to let her know that, so that she can just be with the prince. She has a prince that wants to marry her. She has a prince that is interested in her. Let her pursue the prince if you're not going to marry her, because you don't want to ruin all of her prospects because she's sitting here waiting on you to change your mind, basically. So Simon thinks it's over, and he's like, you know what? He's right. It's unfair of me to hold this girl hostage when he knows that she's in love with him. So she eventually, he goes to her and they have a conversation, and basically he's like, we were never friends. I don't love you. I don't want to, be with you. Go away, right? And she's so hurt by this revelation that they were never friends, that he never cared about her or whatever, that she then is like, fine, I'll just go meet the prince. So she starts courting with the prince. They go to the events together. They're doing all kinds of shenanigans together, and the prince falls in love and he's ready to propose. We go to the ball. He's about to propose, and she interrupts him. She's like, wait, I need some air. She goes outside to get some air. Who do you think is outside? Boom, it's the Duke. So Duke is outside, and they get into this argument, and finally the tension that had been building the whole season erupts, and he kisses her. When they're kissing, her brother runs up and is like, oh my God, you kissed my sister. You've taken her innocence. She a hoe now. You have to marry her or you're going to ruin her reputation, right? So the Duke is like, LOL, no, I'm not going to marry her. We already been through this. I already said this. I'm never getting married. Not doing it. So then Anthony is like, well, then we have to duel. And he's like, all right, bet. So Daphne's trying to calm the whole situation down. Nobody wants to listen to her. So they decide they're going to duel. The next day, they have their duel at dawn. And when they get to the duel, she pulls up on them in the middle of the duel. Her brother almost shoots her. That's how they were in the duel. And when she pulled up, and her brother almost shoots her, then she tries to be like, let me just talk to Simon and we need to have a conversation. I can't let you kill him. So her and Simon go off and they have a conversation, and Simon, she's like, please just marry me. And it's more imperative that he marries her, because she finds out that her brother is not the only person who saw them. It was another girl who was sort of jealous that she was going to have the prince, that she was basically holding it over her head that she saw her be improper with a man. So she's like, okay, you have to marry me, because even if y'all do this duel or whatever, it's gonna look bad on me if this gets out. We have to get married. So he's like, no, I won't marry you. I would rather die. Literally said that he would rather die than marry her. And she's like, do you hate me that much? It's really that tough? You would die rather than marry me? It's really that heavy? And he's like, he finally tells her the big reveal is that he cannot have children, and he does not want to curse her to a life without children. So that's why he does not want to marry her. And she thinks on this for a moment, and then she's like, well, we're getting married, because she'd rather live a life with no children than have him die because of her. I thought that was romantic. I'm so sorry. That was because the only thing that Daphne wanted was to be a mother, and for her to decide that she would give up her life's dream, her life's goal, especially in a time period where you really only have marriage and motherhood, and for her to be she's giving up her motherhood so that the love of her life can live. Romance. That is romance. I'm so sorry about it. That is romance. So he's like, okay, I guess I'll marry you. So they get married, right? And it was some shenanigans with the marriage, but I don't want to give you all the details, all the tea. You can go watch it. So there was some shenanigans with the marriage, but they ended up getting married and went back to wherever he's from to deal with his people and go on their honeymoon or whatever. I don't know how you go on a honeymoon and work. because they went back to wherever he's from and he was doing work, but they were calling it a honeymoon, but he was working. I don't know. Anyways, they went back to wherever he was. And she was like, while he was working, she was like getting the lay of the land, looking through the house, trying to like learn more about him, because they haven't known each other for that long. Like, it's been maybe 2 months. So she's like looking through his stuff, looking like at his stuff, asking his like household work laborers. I don't know what it's called. She was like asking like the people who work in the home questions about him and his history or whatever. And something that one of the people that worked there, the head like house, I don't know what it's called. I don't know anything about like England, but like whatever the main maid or whatever is called, she was having a conversation with her about his mother and father's relationship that made her, something about it didn't like click right in her brain. So then she had a conversation with her lady's maid about how babies come, because she had no knowledge of it. Her mother didn't give her any sort of sex talk, so she really did not know anything about anatomy or sex. There was a side storyline of another girl who was pregnant, Marina, the cousin of the Featheringtons. She was pregnant, and they like were trying to figure out how she got pregnant without being married. So like they don't know anything about anything. Like, they thought that you literally had to be married to get pregnant. They did not understand any of the mechanics of pregnancy. So she had a conversation with her lady's maid, who basically explained to her about sex and pregnancy and how that works, and it made her be like, I think that Simon is lying to me about not being able to have children. I think that he is actively trying not to get me pregnant, because every time they had sex, he was pulling out, right? So she decides, she comes up with a plan in her head that she is going to have, the next time they have sex, she was going to like get on top of him and prevent him from pulling out, to see basically his reaction. And he reacted in horror, because he was actively trying not to get her pregnant. And then that's when she realized and put everything together that he was trying not to get her pregnant. So it was a lot of controversy and like conversation about that scene. And it really kind of caught me off guard, because I didn't see the issue when I watched it, right? And I saw so many people like blatantly saying that it was rape, and a lot of people who were like criticizing them for keeping the scene in, because I'm assuming it was in the book. But I think they were trying to say that like in the book it was worse, but they like toned it down. But people who like were offended by it or like grossed out by it wanted them to not include it at all. But it was like this big conversation that was going on about consent and like reproductive coercion and all kind of stuff. And to me, I don't know. I won't say that the people who were offended by it were wrong. I won't say that people who were offended by it were like exaggerating or dragging it. When I watched it, I didn't perceive it as her trying to like force him to get her pregnant. In my mind, like I explained it, I thought that she was trying to prove that he was lying to her. Like, to me it felt very sitcom-y, and like that idea of the wife knows something that the husband doesn't want the wife to know. Instead of the wife just saying, hey, I know you lied about XYZ, they like trick you into like having to come clean about whatever it is that you lied about. Like, that's what I thought it was. Like, that's the lens in which I viewed it, was that she thought something was true, and she wanted to have proof that it was true. She thought that he was pulling out, but she wasn't sure, because like I said, she didn't know anything about sex. All the information that she got from sex came from like her lady's maid. So she was trying to make sure what her lady's maid said was like accurate, that he was trying not to get her pregnant. And to me, I don't feel like what she did was right. I feel like she should have just had a conversation, but I did not feel like it was rape. I don't feel like she was being malicious, and I don't feel like she was being coercive, I guess, because I don't think that she was actively trying to get pregnant. I think that she was trying to see if he was trying to stop her from getting pregnant, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think she thought that, well, I don't know, maybe she did, but in my mind, as a 20th century woman who knows how like reproduction and like sex works, I know that just because someone ejaculates inside of you, it doesn't necessarily mean you will get pregnant. So I guess in my mind, I was like, I don't think that she thought that the one time that they were going to get pregnant, but I think that she was trying to prove that he was actively trying not to get her pregnant. Like, it's one thing of you to be like, oh, they do the, like, when you're trying to make excuses for people, where you're like, oh, maybe he did this, or maybe he did, like, I don't think he would. And she was trying to be like, this is like clear and blatant. He is actively making a choice to do this. This is not something he's done out of habit. This is not something he's doing accidentally. He's making an active choice to like pull out and not get me pregnant. That's just how I viewed it. I could be wrong, but that's just how I viewed it. I didn't see what a lot of people saw in it. Even when I read like a bunch of people's like breakdowns and discussions about it, like I didn't view it in that way. And that's not me saying that they're wrong. That's just saying that's not the lens in which I viewed it. So after that, they kind of were in an argument for like the rest of the season about disagreeing about having children. He does not want to have children, and she does want to have children, and she was okay with not having children when she thought that he was unable to, because she loves him. But she could not understand why he would choose not to have children, knowing that she wanted to have children. I also feel like, and I talked about this a little bit in my the bold side video, which I'll put in the eye if I remember, but I feel like having, whether or not you want to have children, is like a big fundamental discussion that you need to have in relationships before you get married, because it's a make or break thing. Like, it's not something that you want to force on somebody. If someone doesn't want children, or if they do want children, you don't want to be the party that's pushing them to change their mind, because you will end up either with someone who resents you because they never got to have children, or someone who resents their child for existing and you for making them have that child. And it's just a toxic and unhealthy situation for all parties involved. So they have this ongoing like discussion and argument about why he doesn't want to have children, and why he won't just communicate why he doesn't want to have children. She eventually finds out that he doesn't want to have children because he made a vow to his father that he would never have children, and he won't like carry on the family name. And she's like, so you care more about your like grudge against your father than you care about your love for me. Like, you would rather see me miserable than see like your dead father have an heir. Like, your father's dead. Like, he's dead. It's not like he's gonna be like, hip hip hooray, I have a grandson. Like, he's dead. So like, you have a living wife who wants a child. And honestly, this is not me saying her choices was right. This is not me saying I agree with the character. But I do feel like her logic on this situation is right. You can decide that you don't want to have kids for whatever reason you don't want to have kids. You don't have to justify it, and you don't have to explain it to people. But I felt like it was like dumb for him to make a decision about not having children to spite his father who was dead. I thought that was dumb logic. Like, this is not me saying that if you've decided that because you hate your parents, you don't want to have kids, because you feel like you'll be a bad parent, or you feel like you'll pass on those toxic traits to your kids. That's your business. That's not me saying. I just feel like in this situation with this character, his decision was not that his father had like some kind of like evil thing, or that he was a bad person. I think it was a lot of it. He needed a touch of therapy. I don't know if therapy existed back then, but he needed a touch of therapy. He needed to work through his daddy issues, work through his feeling of not deserving love, because that was also part of why he didn't want to get married, is he felt like he didn't deserve to be loved because of the stuff that went on with his father. Like, he needed a touch of therapy, and their relationship would have been healthier, and they would have better communication if he had went through just a touch of therapy, just a little bit, just a smidge, just a little sprinkle. But yeah, so it ended up getting resolved. I honestly don't even remember how it got resolved. I think he just like spent time with her family and really saw how much she like loved family, and realized that he was like being stubborn and short-sighted and decided that, you know what, we'll have the baby. And the season ends with her giving birth to their child. I literally did not realize that all the kids' name was like alphabetical order, even though I think they said it, like blatantly said it in one of the episodes, but I didn't realize it until the final episode when he was like, the baby's name needs to start with an A because, you know, family tradition or whatever. And I was like, what? Oh, snap. Anthony, I always forget the Benedict. Anthony Benedict Colin, Daphne Eloise, Francesca, ABCDEF. I'm gonna just scroll up because I almost had it. And Hassian. I'm missing somebody. Gregory and Hassian. There we go. So those are the siblings, and all of them, you know, start with the next letter in the alphabet, whatever. I didn't realize that until the final episode. He was like the tradition, like I said. So yeah, that's basically the plot. There were some other side stories. We had her brother Anthony was in love with an opera singer who was like below his station, so they couldn't really get married. And he was like going back and forth about whether he wanted to like give up this life to be with her, or if he would just like continue his duty because he was the oldest son, so he has a lot of responsibility and pressure on him, things he need to live up to keep honor on his family or whatever. And then the next brother is Benedict. He was like wanted to be an artist or something, and he was like exploring the London art scene. Colin was a mess, right? Because Colin was like, he didn't really do anything until the end of the season. After Daphne got married and left, he got engaged to Marina, who, as I said, was pregnant, but she was pregnant by somebody else. He did not know she was pregnant. She was basically trying to use him to like have a life basically for her child, because her actual like baby's father was in the army. He went off to the army. She was sending him letters, but he wasn't responding. We find out that he ended up dying. The Marina storyline was, I don't know how I feel about it, because I felt like they gave a lot of screen time to this black girl, but the story was like depressing. Like, it was depressing. And I don't know. I guess I could talk about the race stuff, but even though I really didn't care. Like, I'm not somebody, as much as I talk about race and like sexism and homophobia and all that stuff on my channel, I'm not really somebody who needs for every single like piece of art work or like TV or movie or music that I listen to be like 100% woke. I understand that people are people and people have flaws. And like, sometimes people make decisions that are poor, and sometimes people make decisions that are malicious, right? So, and I feel like I do a good job of sort of seeing like the history and patterns for certain like people, and realize that everything is not a personal attack against me, right? Shonda Rhimes does have an issue with casting dark-skinned black women, like most people do. She has an issue with black women in general in her shows. Scandal was a show starring a black woman, but Kerry Washington was the only black woman that was ever on the show. Same thing with How to Get Away with Murder. We had 2 black women on there, but that was really all that we had. Like, on Grey's Anatomy, we have like all these interracial relationships, but we don't really get to see a lot of justice due to the black women on those shows. And it's interesting because Shonda Rhimes is a black woman, and I would describe her as darker skinned of a black woman. I think she's light skinned, but I also haven't seen a picture in a while, so she might be light skinned. But like, it's just, I don't know, it's just frustrating for me personally to watch stories that have black women who like, when they finally put black women as like a character with some story, that the story is always like struggle. Like, black girls don't get to have happy endings. And I've talked about this in depth. If you actually like care about this tangent that I'm going on, I talked about this in depth in my Love, Simon video, which I also put in the eye if I remember. But it's frustrating to me as a black girl who likes to see black women in media who goes out their way to watch things that have black women in it to have to sit through a struggle story every single time. Like, we get to watch these white girls or these non-black girls have like soft, tender love and relationships. Like, even in this exact same story, we see Daphne have everyone falling all over her and giving her whatever she wants and treating her like a daffodil that could like break at any time. And then we see how Marina is treated. It's just, it just aggravates me, because the thing is, I understand about a time period, I understand about like the reality of a situation. However, we suspended reality for a lot of different things that's happening on TV shows. It's fiction. Like, you can just let her have a happy ending. I hated the way it ended. I hated the storyline for most of the storyline. Like, I wish that she would have gotten to marry Colin. And I know that's not really fair to Colin, but also I don't care. Like, I wish that Colin would have been like, you know what? I'm gonna just marry you anyway. Like, I wish that that's what he would have did. I wish that's what he would have said. I wish that we could have had a storyline in which she ended up with someone who was like nice and kind and that she liked, instead of ending up the way she ended up. It wasn't fun for me. And then also the race thing of having like all these race bent characters. I don't really know enough about the source material to say like whether or not it was accurate to the source material. I did see a lot of people who were saying that they changed the race of a lot of characters. I know they changed the race of the Duke, and they changed the race of like a whole bunch of different other characters. They changed the race of and had like more black people in the background, more black people just like around, and not even just black people. I saw a lot of Asian extras. So I think some people had an issue with it about like historical accuracy, but again, like I said, it's fiction. Like, it doesn't have to be accurate because it's fiction. It's fiction. Like, it's fiction. And then I saw some people who felt like it changed like the implications and like the historical weight to certain things. Like, again, like I said, with the scene of Daphne and Simon and her trying to figure out whether or not he was purposely trying not to get her pregnant. A lot of people read like some race things into that, of being like, oh, this is this white girl who's taking advantage of this black man, who's like refusing to give him agency in his reproductive choices, and reading like, you know, slave stuff into that. And it's like, I get it. Like, I understand it intellectually. I didn't think about it that deep. Like, I didn't. Here's the thing. One of the things that I saw a lot of people say was that they didn't find Daphne attractive, in that they felt like she had no real chemistry with the Duke, Simon, and that they wish that they had like given the main role, they had cast the main role with someone with a little bit more pizzazz, a little bit more heat. Like, she was bland and boring, right? Which honestly I can agree. I think that she was like a very boilerplate, like run-of-the-mill white girls. I don't feel like she was like so spectacularly beautiful the way that they like describe her as. But I feel like 90% of the time when I'm watching shows with white people, it could just be because I'm not someone who is like really prize whiteness as like the standard of beauty or the standard of like perfection. So it just might be my own personal lens, but I never really feel like the characters or the beautiful, breathtaking white girl is like beautiful and breathtaking. I don't think this girl is ugly, but I do feel like she's very regular. Like, she looks like a white girl I would know. But also I don't feel like I cared, because, and this like, this might be the Leo placement in me jumping out, but like, I stopped paying attention to the main character once I'm into the story. I'm not even paying attention to who she is anymore. She's me now. Like, I have revamped the whole story. She is me. I am her. I'm the one that's doing all these things. I put myself in the story. So, like, the race implications and stuff, it didn't click for me because in my mind she was black. Like, in my mind she was me. So, like, it didn't have the same weight, or it didn't have the same, you know, mess to it, whatever. But yeah, we also have, like I said, the story about Lady Whistledown. Here we go. Lady Whistledown, and her sister, Eloise, trying to figure out who Lady Whistledown is, and the queen trying to figure out who Lady Whistledown is. That's one thing I won't spoil. You can watch it and see, but I feel like I figured it out in, like, episode 4. I was like, oh, that's definitely who it is. And I was right. I don't know. I really liked the show. I thought it was fun. I'm really excited for season 2. I can already see from, like, the way that the season ended, how, like, what stories that we could see happening in the season 2. Obviously, season 2 is going to have Eloise doing her debut. And that's going to be interesting because Eloise is firmly against the idea of doing a debut. She wants to be known for her mind and not her beauty. Like, she wants to accomplish things before she gets married. So I do feel like a story around someone who is so hesitant to be a part of this process could be a very interesting story of seeing, like, does she just fall in line, or does she, like, push back against it? And if she push back, like, how and in what ways? And also how will people react to her pushing back to these, like, societal standards? So yeah, it'll be fun. I'm really excited to see what's gonna happen with Colin. I'm really excited to see what's gonna happen with Anthony. I really think that Benedict is gay. So we're gonna see a whole bunch of interesting storylines happening in the next season. So that is fun. Yeah, so if you watched Bridgerton, please tell me in the comments what you thought. Like, what was your favorite part? What are your thoughts on Bridgerton? Are you excited for season 2? What are you most excited about seeing in season 2? And do you think that we'll get, like, all the girls coming out? Like, because it's 4 daughters. So do you think they'll give us all 4 coming out? Is it 4 daughters? Yeah, Daphne, Eloise, Francesca, and Hacienda. Yeah. So you think we'll get, like, all 4 daughters, all 4 seasons of the daughters? The youngest daughter, Hacienda, is, like, way younger. So, like, I wonder if we'll get a time jump when we go to her, or if they'll have, like, some other stuff happening. I don't know. I just find it really interesting. I like the show, and like I said, it's given very much 1800s Gossip Girl, and I love Gossip Girl. I really did. I might do a video at some point about Gossip Girl, but I'd have to watch Gossip Girl over, and I might watch Gossip Girl, but I don't know. I really like Gossip Girl. But yeah, so that is it. That is all. Like this video if you like this content. Please subscribe. I always forget to say subscribe, but please subscribe if you like this content, if you want to see more. And also, I always forget to say share, because I know, like, when you share videos, it gives you more, like, love in the algorithm if people are coming from, like, outside the app to watch your video. So please share this video with anybody that you feel like really liked Bridgerton, or just wanted to talk about Bridgerton, because I make these videos for the conversation, not just to, like, hear my own voice. So again, in the comments, tell me what you think. Like, let's talk about it. So I guess that's it, and that's all. I'll see you in the next one.